When human death is involved, the obvious can often be forgotten. Grief can overcome logic. Sadness can overwhelm thoroughness. Thus, there may be the most innocent of answers to the question that loomed over the North Carolina Speedway at Rockingham a week to the day that Dale Earnhardt died, the very day Dale Earnhardt Jr. crashed on lap 1. But the question did remain. If a seatbelt, defective or misinstalled or whatever, came loose or ripped in half, and if at least it contributed to Earnhardt's death on a Sunday, why did nobody mention it until the following Friday?
This is the Keith Olbermann Evening News, and for NASCAR, it is grief unrelieved. The drivers start the long road back, they do not finish.
I want to be here, I want to race, this is what we do.
And how could it be possible? Dale Earnhardt Jr. crashed? Incredibly, this NBA collision looked worse still, yet the victim is already up and about. Victims? Well, perhaps fashion victims. Itchy goes on without him. Victims? The endless struggle between labor and capital, I guess. The endless struggle in Dodgertown results in a trade. The endless struggle to get the message across. A good craftsman never blames his tools. Incorrect. Correct. Huge upset in the ACC. Hope it's a huge upset. Hope the game's over. And did you see this in the XFL? No, actually, you probably didn't. If the ratings go any lower, the announcers will be able to address the viewer by his first name. All that and the unfinished business at Rockingham. Next on the Keith Olbermann Evening News. Good evening. Here now the news. It was, not merely in the history of stock car racing, but also perhaps in the history of sports, a unique and ultimately terrifying day. The other comparisons, the heart attack that claimed hockey's Howie Morenz in 1937, the plane crash that killed most of England's Manchester United football team in 1958, the murder of California Angels outfielder Lyman Bostock late in the season of 1978. Each overlapped in part what happened at Rockingham, North Carolina today, but none duplicated it. No sport had ever lost its greatest star during a competition and then went on its schedule uninterrupted the next game, the next day, or the next week. But NASCAR did. The drivers and the fans went back to the starting line, and one man was missing. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the middle of the group there. In the moments before the race, it took on elements of the moments after the Oklahoma State crash or the other tragedies we have seen in sports.
It's not that way.
Salutes of all manner at Rockingham.
With the triumphs, but today,
and a moment of silence for Dale Earnhardt.
Tragedy.
Let's go down near victory lane to Chris Montoya.
There was also a moment of silence when the race was supposed to start because of rain. Trucks used to dry to the track. Jeff Gordon off the pole in honor of Dale Earnhardt. And after an hour's delay, the green flag goes. And then the nightmare. Watch the red number 8 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Moves up to third.
On turn 4 of the first lap into the wall at a slightly different angle than that which killed his father last week. Kenny Wallace got tangled up in there. Here is the view from the Roy Harnaday car. And Earnhardt was sent into the wall. And this is the view from inside Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. He was completely all right, except for a slight limp. He said afterwards his injury, his limp, owed to the lap belt was a little too tight, so I'm a little bruised up. We'll be okay. Unclear if that was gallows humor or perhaps anger. The third lap of the race, the lap designated as a silent lap in memory of Dale Earnhardt. And then on lap 52, they shut it down for the day as the rains resumed, and it will have to be continued in the morning. 52 of 393 laps completed, 11 a.m. the start time, live on our sister network FX. 15 days into the NASCAR season, there's already been a sponsorship controversy, a rain delay that could affect next week's race in Las Vegas, and following the cataclysm of Dale Earnhardt's death, the shock of his own son's accident.
Just tight. Go racing, getting down into 3. The 4 car pulled down in front of me, and everybody checked up, and I was checking up, and somebody didn't. So it's tough. You know, we really had a good car, wanted to do good here, get the year started off right.
I've never done so little and have been so emotionally tired, I think, in my life. It's just been probably one of the longest weeks of my life, and, you know, our thoughts and prayers with the whole Earnhardt family.
We've been asked a lot, I guess, do you want to be here this weekend? Yeah, I want to be here. I want to race. This is what we do, and this is what Dale did. But I sure want Dale Earnhardt to be here with us. We know that can't be, so we know he wants to be racing.
Coming up after the first commercial, Daryl Waltrip will join me and explain why the postponement was the worst thing that could have afflicted the NASCAR family. And at the bottom of the hour, we'll go back to Rockingham as Paul Butler paints the sad picture from the pits and the stands. The games, of course, continue, as do the absurdities of our time. NBA and the New York Post quoting Charles Oakley of Toronto, saying 60% of NBA players use marijuana, and, quote, "You got guys out there playing high every night." 60%. This is a revision of the previous unofficial estimate, which was everybody except AC Green. The scratchy without itchy show resuming in LA. Shaq in, Kobe out. 60%. We just showed you two guys. Isaiah Ryder, who constitutes 60% of the league's smokers right there, smoke in. And then Robert Horry finishes up. Phil Jackson, new pair of glasses. And that's right, Derek Richardson, sub-ref with a new pair of pants. He had to use Jess Kersey's pants. First rule of refereeing, bring your own pants. Tracy McGrady takes the pants away from the Lakers, and the Magic are leading by 9. But in the third, the Lakers respond. Why does this play work? Because Shaq uses a little of the old Shaq foo on Andrew Duclerc. Hello! Have a good smell of my foot. Fourth quarter as the Lakes pull ahead off the rebound. Brian Shaw, long pass to Shaq. Shaq ahead of the field. And on the bench, Kobe says, Gianluca Pagliuca. The Kings and the Knicks, the Chris Webber audition, except he wasn't there. Missed another game. They didn't seem to miss him, as Doug Christie says, "Houston, hello," to Allen Pearson of the Knicks. Jeff Van Gundy, tired of that joke, which is now 9, count him, 9 years old. Kings let it that break, but then Ward picks Divot's pocket. Stojakovic says, we aren't all going back on this play? Knicks by 3. Less than a minute to go in the fourth. Knicks down by 2, and Sprewell grabs his own rebound, backs up, and busts Divots. We are tied at 86, and then less than 15 seconds to play. Still tied. Sprewell loses Stojakovic. Jump up, and Sprewell on the way to 18. The Knicks up by 2. The last chance for Sacramento. And this is not a pretty play. It is a pretty play up until the point Jason Williams plays 1-on-5. Missed! Naughty boy! The Knicks win 88-86. The Jazz and the Suns in the first quarter. Phoenix and they're running. Jason Kidd to Sean Marion, who is having the game of his life in this one. A 9-2 Phoenix run. Phoenix by a dozen at the break, and then in the third quarter, Marion continues to do it. Marion, no librarian. Off his own steal, Suns by 7 after 3, but then he gets checked out. Late in the fourth quarter, John Starks undercuts him. Watch this. That's unmade Marion. He looked like he'd been stuck into the ground. Starks conveniently patting him on the shoulder on which he landed. And as horrible as this looked, the Suns would win 90-80. And remarkably indeed, the incredible report from the hospital, Good Samaritan Hospital in Phoenix.
Yeah, that's the type with his leaping ability. He came crashing.
Marion broke nothing. Not even the shoulder, which took the brunt of the impact of that landing. CAT scan showed no injury to the neck. He did suffer a grade 3 concussion, was to be hospitalized overnight, and will miss a week. He also sprained his right wrist. Our college spotlight game of the day, Ronald Curry of North Carolina to Brendan Haywood, who's not a member of Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods. Haywood, 20.7 rebounds, but yes, Virginia's going to do this again. Donald Hand, Adam Hall. The Hand-Hall combination. Virginia fans hopefully going bonkers unless there's something in the water. 7 seconds left in the first half. Hand, jive. Virginia by 14 at the break. And then in the second half, thank you, Pete Gillen. Roger Mason Jr., son of the underachieving Giants pitcher, Chris Williams. Virginia wins 86-66. It is the rainy season in Southern California. Now, it started earlier than usual in this year of our Lord 2001, like on New Year's Day at about 12:01. But you can almost always count on it raining a lot or a little on the last weekend of February and or the first weekend of March. So they scheduled the PGA's LA Open when? The last weekend of February or the first weekend of March. Davis Love up by 3. Tiger Woods in a 10-way tie for 9th. Crouching Tiger, that would be. On the par 5 17, Tiger's chip from off the green. No. Good, but no. And he shoots a 71 and wears his hat on backwards to look mean. Meanwhile, your shot of the day. You've heard of that phrase, stick it. Michael Muir apparently believes it is to be taken literally. He sticked it. He stuck it. Third round leader was Love, of course. From the bunker at 15, doesn't like it, and he shouldn't because it would double bogey him. He would fall out of it with a 75, and after 72 holes, a six-way playoff starring Dennis Paulson, Jeff Sluman, Robert Allenby, Brandel Chambly, Bob Tway, and Toshi Izawa as the Beaver.
He'll take one of those.
Toshi. Thank you. 6, count them 6. Very damp golf guys have to go to bonus cantos. First playoff hole, the difficult 18. Allenby's approach. He's a playoff veteran from way downtown. Virtually bang, within 5 feet.
Robert Allenby.
223-yard shot, and moments later, Allenby to eliminate like the 23 other guys playing in the playoff. It's a final. It's his third PGA victory. Each one has come in a playoff. This was a record-sized one for a full tournament. Even though it was kind of damp, it still counted as a full tournament. He wins $612,000 and free dry cleaning for all the stuff he wore this weekend. Eldrick was 13th at 5 under.
It's a day like today. If you would have played a solid round today, you would have moved up quite a bit. And we all knew that going out there. Everyone knows that if you shoot something in the mid-60s, you're going to move up a lot of places. And if I would have done that today, I might have had a chance of winning.
From spring training, the Dodgers have unloaded their unhappy outfielder. No, not Gary Sheffield. Devon White, the former Gold Glove outfielder who of late has had trouble finding fly balls with a St. Bernard and a map. Dealt to Milwaukee straight up from Marquise Grissom, another former star who had slipped to the role of fourth outfielder. Meantime, just as the Sheffield situation appeared to be cooling down, he has reheated the leftovers. Sheffield told reporters he won't be happy as long as he wears a Dodger uniform. He's told the Dodgers he will only waive his right to be traded next winter if he is dealt this spring to the Mets, Yankees, or Braves. At the opposite end of this universe, San Diego Padres outfielder Bubba Trammell has a new contract demand, according to the Los Angeles Times. He wants to be guaranteed 500 at-bats this season, in exchange for which he says he will play for free. Oh, and he'll hit 30 home runs. Two ideas: the Dodgers should trade Sheffield for Bubba Trammell, or this: the Dodgers and this network are owned by the same company. Memo to my bosses: keep Sheffield, pay him his $10 million salary to act as bullpen catcher. I'll kick in 50 grand of my salary just to see that. Much more ahead. The XFL takes another huge ratings hit. We'll hear the gardening tips of Pat Burrell of the Phillies. Alex Flanagan will introduce us to the man who may save both the NBA and Christmas, and more from Rockingham, including the insight and eloquence of our analyst, Daryl Waltrip. Stand by.
If you're one who loves the great wide open, Chevy Impala gives you more room than Honda Accord and Toyota Camry, plus seating for up to 6. Impala also earned the highest U.S. government safety rating in front crash testing for both driver and front passenger. Now lease a 2001 Impala for as low as $270 a month for 36 months, so you can have a room with a view that's easier to afford. Residency restrictions apply. Call for important lease details. Impala, now at your Chevy dealer. We'll be there.
Are you one of the millions of American males who would like increased sexual energy? If you've been considering Viagra as a solution, consider something different. All-natural Enerx. Clinical studies show various ingredients of Enerx enhance sexual energy, increasing desire, performance, and satisfaction. Enerx is all natural with no side effects. With Enerx, you'll feel the increased energy within minutes and with no chemicals. We're so sure you and your mate will be completely satisfied. We'll offer you a 30-day, no questions asked, full refund. Enerx stimulates sexual energy by expanding the blood vessels, causing increased blood flow to specific areas of the body. Unleash the power of Enerx now. Call the toll-free number you see on the screen, and it will be delivered discreetly to your home. Get results using the safe, all-natural alternative, Enerx.
At Geico, we're always looking for faster ways to process your car insurance claims. One idea: airlifting claims adjusters right to the site of the accident. We're over the target. I don't see the car. It's that little black dot. They're all little black dots. Unlock. Oh, your laptop.
Geico Direct. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
There's a new Visa with a low introductory rate that's right for you. Whether it's Aria Persona with a credit limit of up to $1,000, Aria Portrait with lower interest rates and no annual fee, or the privilege of Aria Platinum, the only card you'll ever need. Best of all, at Aria, you don't have to wait. Just visit us online at aria.com for a credit decision in 30 seconds, subject to verification, or call the toll-free number and apply for your Aria Visa card today.
Weeknights, it's Totally NASCAR, your exclusive all-access garage pass. A full 30 minutes of NASCAR news and highlights. Weeknights at 6 on Fox Sports Net. Evening news on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by Acura.
And our analyst segment now. Daryl Waltrip is the lead commentator for Fox's NASCAR coverage, the winner, of course, of 84 races in his career on the circuit. He joins me now from Rockingham. Daryl, thanks for sticking around for us. The way this turned out today, racing started, there was rain, Dale Jr. injured, not seriously, but he had to come out of the race at the first lap. There was no outcome today. Was no outcome the best outcome for NASCAR in the wake of Dale Earnhardt's death, or was it the worst outcome today?
Well, of course, we'll pick their action up in the morning at 11 o'clock, and so it's not over. It's just prolonged, and prolonged is what we did not need. The emotions are high here. People are walking around, and just the thought of Dale Earnhardt and some of the tributes that's been paid to him the last couple of days and the funeral on Thursday, people wanted to get this race behind them. They wanted to get this race run. They wanted to get a winner, and they wanted to move on, and now we're going to have to prolong it for another 24 hours, and quite frankly, I don't think the hearts and the minds of these people here were prepared for that.
In the pre-race show, you asked NASCAR President Mike Helton if it wasn't time to mandate more personal safety measures for drivers, and Mike kind of hedged on the answer. If it wasn't time this morning, is it time this afternoon and this evening? Is it time now to do that?
Well, I call upon everybody, NASCAR included, but we know, the drivers know, that there are devices that could save their life. The Hans device, Simpson has developed a device, a head restraint, something to keep from breaking the brainstem and the spinal cord in these head-on collisions. You know, with that kind of information, when you know that, you shouldn't have to have the sanctioning body insist that you wear a safety device for your own benefit. But when they won't, it's just like any other issue. Somebody has to step in and say, you will, because it's for your own good. And I think that's the point we're at. NASCAR's going to have to step in and say, look, guys, that's the way it's going to be.
It took 40 years to get hockey players to wear helmets, and finally they had to make it mandatory, even though it was obvious it could save lives and injuries. Well, now, Judge, go ahead.
Well, my analogy was a motorcycle. People that ride motorcycles, they will not wear a helmet. If you give them the option of riding with a helmet or without, they'll take the helmet off, and they'll go down the highway at 120 miles an hour on a two-wheel motorcycle. So race drivers are a lot like that. Drivers are kind of peculiar. They got little idiosyncrasies about them, things they like and don't like, and they want to be comfortable in the car. But, man, comfort is not the issue here. We're talking about safety here.
Judge it for me by your own emotions and what you felt from others at Rockingham today. How long is the grief about Dale Earnhardt going to be so profound? Will there be a race this season when his image is not hovering over the whole week? Will it be next year, the year after? Do you have any clue yet?
I really don't. I do know this for a fact. February the 18th will be a day that none of us will forget. And coming here this weekend, like I said, a normal routine weekend is what this crowd needed. Joe Jr. getting taken out on the very first lap of the race, that's disastrous. That poor kid was already hurting, his heart was hurting, and he doesn't even make a lap in the race. So he is devastated, and so is everybody else here. No, it's not going to be a week, it's not going to be 2 weeks, it's going to take time. How much time? I don't know, maybe the whole year. When
Time magazine comes out Monday morning, Dale Earnhardt will be on the cover. 8 pages on the story. There's an article by you, there's an article by my old friend Brian Williams from NBC. It was Ray Evernham, who said during the week that he has always believed that no sport has ever been just one man, but now he is not so sure. Do we have any clue yet, any guess how much of NASCAR doesn't exist right now?
Well, this is our past. It's our connection to our heritage. Dale Earnhardt is the only guy left with the mustache, the sly grin, the twinkling eyes. Reminds you back of the drivers in the 50s and the 60s. And he was the only one left. And now we've lost him. So we have lost a huge part of our history. How do we go forward? Somebody's going to have to step up. Who that is, I don't know, but somebody's going to have to step up and take the weight of this sport and carry it into the next into the 21st century.
This next question may sound very, very cold, and I do not mean it to, and if it comes that way to you, I apologize in advance, but could the best thing that could happen right now be, as the investigation into last week's crash winds up, to find that it wasn't strategy or excessive speed or inferior safety measures, but it was a fluke, a snapped seat belt, as they discussed at the end of last week, that was most responsible for Dale's death?
Well, I think just like an airplane crash, anytime that they can pinpoint what caused the problem, that it wasn't pilot error, that it wasn't something that someone did wrong, but a mechanical failure, then everybody sighs a little bit of a relief. In this case, I think everybody sighed a little bit of a relief, knowing that, well, maybe if that belt hadn't have broken, it wouldn't have been so fatal. So this leaves you a little glimmer of hope, and it also gives you an opportunity to look further into all these injuries that we've had over the last 10 months.
Daryl, finally, I'm not being facetious when I ask this question in the slightest. In the sport I'm most familiar with, baseball, I have gone out and covered games immediately after deaths, and I think of Thurman Munson in 1979. I was at the game the day after he died in a plane crash in Ohio, and my entire memory of that day and other games is, get it over with, get it over with.
Yeah.
And never mind the drivers, how did you go out there today, and how will you go out there when the race resumes tomorrow?
This whole weekend, my mindset was I just want to get through this weekend. I was praying that this would be a routine weekend and that we would have a winner and somebody would finally go to Victory Circle and there would be a celebration. And it'd be a celebration of someone that won a race and we could get this grieving behind us. Like I said early on, we didn't need to prolong this, but we got to deal with it. These are strong people here. They pull together, they rally together, they work together, they live together. And obviously we die together, and all of us have died a little bit this past week.
Daryl Waltrip, especially in the midst of these crowded hours, thank you for your time, sir. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir, my pleasure.
Still to come on the big show, one more trip to Rockingham and the story of the fans and the shock that just won't let go. And some much-needed good news. He's not even 25 yet. He may be the most mature guy in the NBA. Alex Flanagan will introduce us to him coming up.
Foxscope was brought to you by Acura.
Spiced rum. Everything tastes better with a splash of the unexpected.
The Jimmy Sun & Sound comes with all these features standard. And professional-grade engineering that's anything but standard. Now lease a 2001 Jimmy Sun & Sound for as low as $199 a month. Residency restrictions apply. Call for lease details.
I'm Peter Worrell with the Florida Panthers. Catch Panthers hockey all season long here on Fox Sports Net.
Hi, I'm Randy McElboy, inviting you to join us tonight for the 11 p.m. Florida Regional Sports Report.
And I'm Jim Knox with a full 30 minutes of sports news surrounding your hometown team.
Hey, NASCAR gets back to racing in Rockingham. It just didn't last that long. We'll explain.
While the Orlando Magic are in action tonight on the road against the defending world champs, the LA Lakers.
It's 30 minutes of nightly sports news, 100% dedicated to Florida home teams.
So tune in tonight for the 11 o'clock Regional Sports Report on Fox Sports Net.
Get the news you want when you want it on your morning news.
Officials say they're sponsoring what they hope is a solution.
4 full hours of news, traffic reports, and weather on the 9s every morning from 5 to 9. Your morning news only on Bay News 9. Not getting home when you thought? No problem. Bay News 9 has your evening news every night from 5 to 8. Now you'll never miss your evening news every night from 5 to 8, only on Bay News 9.
The good stuff. It's what you want. The good stuff. It's what Tampa Bay is watching. Get the good stuff. Advertise with Time Warner Communications. Our audience is the people you'd like to reach, tuning into their favorites. It's television advertising you can afford. Get the good stuff from Time Warner Communications. Call your local Time Warner Communications office. In Pinellas County, call 727-579-8600.
You're watching Fox Sports Net.
Greetings. Welcome to the National Basketball Association. The Nets, having lost 9 straight on the road, we're back at home and soon moving to Newark. Stephon Marbury says, parabola me. Why does that shot not count? Because it hit him in the head. Conk me. Byron Scott can't believe it that anybody's head could be that hard. Later in the third, Nets cruising. Marbury drives on the foul. The Nets win 101-91. The Cavaliers and the Pistons. That's right, Cleveland still has, despite what recent records might suggest. Stackhouse, Bings, Cedric Henderson. And Stack on the way to 21 in the half, 35 in the game, but then Andre Miller to Lamont Murray. And that's right, the Cavaliers have won on the road. 101-94. Randy Whitman goes, yeah, that's what happens when we have more points than they do. The Pacers against the somnambulant Timberwolves. Jalen Rose to Jermaine O'Neal past Kevin Garnett with authority. And the Pacers are up by a dozen after one. Second, here's McKee, baseline, Travis Best. And Best had 11. And then watch Reggie Miller